Please help me welcome director Aneesh Chaganty to the stage.
Hello! Welcome to the 9 a.m. screening. I would not have been here if I were you, but thank you very much. It's very kind of you to be here. The movie you guys are about to watch tonight was, or not tonight. That was like programmed. This morning, it was made with a whole lot of love by a lot of people who I'm going to introduce after the film, or the people that are here. Particularly a group of 5 people who sort of spent the last couple of years in a very, very small edit room working on 2 IMAX, kind of arguing, collaborating, and creating. So to be anywhere in a room much larger than that with so much more than 5 people, for all of us was a dream that didn't even fit in the square footage of that room. So I'm going to introduce all those people after, but right now I just wanted to thank you for being here. Thank you for braving the cold. Thank you for waking up super early. Thank you for finding a way to get a ticket. Thank you for trading for tickets or you know, figuring out some way to be here or waiting in the waitlist line and hoping you get in. I would like to give a special shout out to the USC Dean Daly, who's here somewhere. I can't really see her right now, but anyways. Yeah, so the movie you're going to watch this morning hopefully is unlike something you've ever seen before. We are so humbled and grateful to Sundance for accepting it and letting us show here, and I hope you really, really enjoy it. Okay, we'll talk. Hello! Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here at a 9 a.m. screening. It is so cool to have you guys respond this way. It's so awesome. There's a lot of people who made this film. We made it for 2 years. So I'm going to introduce all of them individually right now, starting with the most important person, my co-writer, my leader, my teacher, my mentor, the guy without whom there would be no movie, and I'd probably still be in Koreatown working on my first script. Please welcome Seb Ohanian, co-writer and lead producer, and also winner of the Amazon Studio Sundance Producer of the Year Award. No big deal. Next, I want to welcome the producer who not only managed every single aspect of the massive amount of problems and obstacles a movie like this presents, but also managed to be an integral part of the creative process. I mentioned earlier there were 5 people in an editing room for the last 2 years. That's Seb, myself, and the next person, Natalie, Qasabian. The next producer had an extremely unenviable task of being the person we went to whenever we realized this movie was way more complicated and bigger than we wanted it to be or thought it would be. And just for saying yes and taking those calls every time, please welcome Mr. Adam Sidman. Now that you guys have seen this film, it's not usual that I feel like editors are going to get the attention that these 2 guys deserve. We had 2 editors on this film. Their names are Will Merrick and Nick Johnson, and they taught us, and they worked harder than anybody else on the film. They were part of that crew of 5. They started working on this movie 7 weeks before we even shot it. We made a whole version of this movie before we even shot a frame of it, and they basically taught us how to make this movie. Please welcome Will Merrick and Nick Johnson. Frontrunners for next year's Oscars. Next, I want to bring up our associate producer, Kang Yu-E, who managed an absolute shit ton of stuff for this movie. Please come on stage, Kang Yu-E. We're always working, including right now. Thank you very much. I love you. Next, I'm going to bring on stage our director of live-action photography, typically known as your director of photography. We had to add directors of screen photography credits for these guys just because of their roles were so insane. But please welcome director of live-action photography who shot with as many cameras as there are scenes in this movie. Please welcome Juan, Sebastian. And last but not least, our sound designer, who, if you listen to this film and watch this film, think about how many clicks there are, drags there are. It's just the most insane sound design challenge, where sound is coming from, depending on what image we're looking at on screen and where that's coming from. Please welcome Nathan Royal, our sound designer. not forget anyone. Awesome, cool.
Yeah.
Search. Thank you.
This one feels so lived in.
Yeah.
How did y'all achieve that?
I think a lot of it came down to the way we approached the writing, to be honest. Seb, Ohanian co-wrote the script. I'm gonna have him answer the question real quick.
I got my. Oh man, that's a tough question. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, for us, it was a huge challenge, like beginning to come up with how to write this story and have it resonate as if it was a regular movie, but still, of course, it's the furthest thing from it. We just kind of wanted to come up with a story that would work outside of the gimmick of the computer. And once we kind of established that, and once we kind of knew to be totally honest with you guys, when we first got the opportunity to make this movie, Aneesh's response was no. And Seb was right next to me, and as producer at that moment, I was just like felt the heat next to me. I'm like, dude,
what are you
nobody
saying,
offers
dude?
first-time directors movies like this, man. I was like, actually, like, we'll get back to you guys. Like, let's.
But in the moment, we had come up with a little background of the film. We had originally come up with, this was originally a short film idea, the whole Search movie. And in that moment, it felt like we would be kind of stretching the concept as opposed to adding on it organically. But one day, like a few weeks later, after I said no and Seb was like, we'll get back to you, we both came up at the same exact time. I was living in Williamsburg at the time, and he was in Glendale. We came up with the opening scene at the exact same time and called each other up and like, hey, I have an idea for an opening scene. I have an idea for an opening scene. You go first. And he pitched me the exact version that I thought. We're like, let's make up, you know?
Exactly. So in our minds, we're like, hey, if we can get audiences to spend the first 5 minutes with our characters living their entire lives as seen through their computers, maybe they'll actually be on board for the rest of the movie. And once we kind of established those character beats at the beginning, we knew people would actually care what happened with Margot.
Yeah.
And most importantly, maybe they might forget that it was all taking place on a computer screen.
For 16 days, and then we did a bunch of days where we just did voiceover work. And the budget is probably much tinier than what you think it is.
And also much bigger than what you think it is, too.
Some of the unforeseen obstacles that you guys came up with when filming this?
Yeah, how long do we have to answer that? I'm going to give this to the editors because without a doubt, the biggest challenge, I think, came from these guys, and they solved them.
Yeah, there were a ton of challenges we talked about this, but I think one of the big challenges was we decided to punch in and get really tight on stuff, and just treat this like a normal cinematic movie. And we needed, therefore, the resolution of like a 20K monitor. So we quickly decided to go with vector-based images, and yeah, that was definitely a huge challenge for us.
Basically, there's no screen capture in this movie. It's all animated.
It was 100% created in Illustrator and animated.
We realized about 2 months into the process that no consumer computer was ready to handle the intensity of a project like ours. In fact, the movie was so intense that one of the gifts we gave these guys when we finished the film was actually just a screenshot of the entire computer timeline, which actually looks like a city skyscape. It's like most films have about 2 or 3 layers of video. Ours had 37 on almost every single scene. And our computers were crashing every 15 to 20 minutes. And every 15 or 20 minutes, we became very religious and we're like, please stop saving our progress. And then at the end of every 20 minutes, we lost our religion and realized it did not save our progress.
We had like a 15-year-old computer in like the corner of some room that magically could render everything. We didn't know why. We're like, let's use that one. The old grizzled vet.
You want to answer this?
It's a little bit of an exaggeration. Not that much. We had a ton of cameras, and none of them were professional film cameras. They're all either they're all consumer cameras. So that was a big challenge on its own. Being on a 16-day production with demanding schedule and having cameras that run out of batteries all the time. And, sometimes have a mind of their own. So you don't have the same control that you would have on a normal movie. But I do think that contributed so much to the authenticity of it, as hard as it was to do. And because the UI is all real, we just felt we had to do it for real. Like it would look so fake if we used a movie camera.
Tangerines iPhone camera made it into the Academy, so we're going to be submitting this guy as well. Yeah, the exact this is the film camera that gets on this movie. And it's exact one.
There were times where we would forget to put it on airplane mode, so you would get text messages.
Yeah, when Debra's holding it up, and it's just like, hey, Aneesh, you want to hang out? Because
there's a million things you're going through, and you know, Debra, you know, went to shoot with an iPhone for the first time, and you know, for an actor to be seeing themselves on camera is, you know, a really intense experience. So, you know, we had to tape it over, but then we didn't know whether it was rolling or not because there's tape on the screen, or whether the camera had flipped. We had a whole tape where it's looking in the other direction.
Yeah, because we couldn't even see what we got. So we'd like remove the tape and be like, did that capture? And then you know.
We were like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Because they're just shooting us sideways.
Yeah. We have all the advanced technological tools to make this movie, but there were times when we felt like we were just like editing this and making this on like 1930s. It takes an incredible amount of bravery, I think, for an actor and an actress to say yes to this project. Because when we first pitched it, there's like no frame of reference to a movie like this. All they had is like some computer movies that have taken place in the past, all of which we kept being like, we want to do something bigger than that. And I have to commend all of them. It's a huge challenge, and it's not like I knew every answer. That we were figuring out how to make this movie while we were making this movie. And John and Debra were teaching us as much about how to perform in front of a GoPro that's locked off in front of you, as we were learning about doing that as well. So as far as preparation goes, we talked a lot about how we behave in front of screens that when we're aware of them, how we behave in front of screens when we're not aware of them, how we interact with our devices that we use. But a lot of it came from just like being on set, pressing record, and being like, that didn't feel natural, that's not what I see when I Skype someone, let's roll again. That was extremely conscious of what we did. When Seb and I were looking at PSAs and movies and videos and commercials and all that stuff, so much about the way technology is portrayed in media is negative. It's always about we're addicted to social media, or we're obsessed with likes, or all these things. And that's not to say that none of those are untrue. They have so much merit to them. But that's like saying this part of the pie is the whole pie. And like what technology has provided us is so much more than just negativity. And what we wanted to do with this movie was just kind of hopefully zoom out a little bit and show a little bit more of what it has provided, just in the way we were telling the story.
So number one, I was obsessed with this shot, and the editors and Aneesh literally had to like come to me like, said, we're so sorry we lost this shot, which was a really sick shot. You guys know on Google Maps, when like you go to like the mode where it's Street View, we had a moment where like David was trying to track Margot's like, you know, have you guys seen Serial or whatever, where like you're like trying to time what's the timeline of the crime, where like you'd be going through Street View of like the path where Margot went, and it was like this really fast, sick, dope-ass shot, honestly. And what I love about Aneesh, the director, is like he's the biggest director in the world who always wants to glue stuff. Like every other director's like, we gotta keep this, and we lost this incredible shot, which these guys promised me would be in a special feature.
We were trying to figure out how to do that. We totally would have done it. But luckily it didn't quite fit in the movies.
And like one last thing I'll say is that because this movie was edited for over a year and a half, like we had a lot of time on our hands while we were waiting for these guys to, you know, render things. We ended up squeezing so much story into all the various edges of the movie, a lot of references, a lot of shout outs. Pretty much every face you see in the movie is a loved one of ours.
If you pause this movie, there's 9 other storylines that you can follow simultaneously. I'm not exaggerating. There's like other characters who are going through other struggles in the film that you can pause and just, if you look through the email history, just kind of track some characters along.
My favorite is that David Kim had a date through eHarmony early on with a woman, and you can kind of track her as she's trying to get his attention.
And he's just like, I don't want to hang out again.
And she's like, oh, your daughter's missing, I totally understand. If you want to try to drink, that's fine. But yeah, so try and catch it again and just like, you know, pay attention to that other stuff next time. But that's a great question.
Well, thank you all so much.